I'm out on a hike in Connecticut and I'm gonna look around and see how much wild food I can find here at the very tail end of November. I'm at this one spot and I'm looking around, see all these little husks? This is chestnut husk, sweet chestnut, the kind that you can eat. Oh, hey, there might be something in that, so I'm gonna smash that open. All right, that one was yucky, but I just smashed open another one and found this. So if you look, you can, I found the nut. This is the nut. And inside, you crack that open, you can pull this out. You can see it looks a little bit old and withered, but it looks like it's actually okay. I'm gonna try it. It's only one little tiny, like ratty old nut. It's mostly not that good anymore. If I was really starving though, I would totally eat. Yeah, there's pretty much always some Japanese barberry hanging around. They look like little raisins at this point. These are edible. They just don't taste that good. Like, I'll eat them. They kind of taste like something that's been sitting in the back of my refrigerator for a really long time. A little bitter. It's not like the worst flavor I've ever had, but not delicious. Don't get those confused with these. See that with this little yellow husk on it? This is Oriental bittersweet or Asian bittersweet. This is an invasive weed, and these suck. These are horrible. They're not edible, and the birds eat them and poop them out everywhere. Just don't eat these. There's quite a few acorns on the ground still. There was a mass year for acorns this year, so I mean the squirrels have been at these obviously, but if you had to, you could pick a bunch of these. You see how this is a nice fresh one that's still good, not full of bugs? You could actually eat that. And there's another one. Somebody started eating that and walked away. But those acorns are still good. You just have to, you'd have to boil them in water over and over again until the tannins leached out. I like to slow leach them, but in a survival situation, you'd be wanting to boil these. But the nuts themselves are very tasty, actually, after you have leached all the tannins out. You just don't want to eat them straight, fresh like that. And you don't have to eat the ones the squirrels have already opened up, but that is actually a good indication of it being a good nut, because otherwise when they're fully closed, you know, not even open at all, the only way to really test them is to float test them and or crack them open. So yeah, eat some squirrel nuts there. Right here we've got white pine. These needles, you could chew on them, or you can make a tea, a nice tasty tea with them. You can ferment them, but again, if I'm super duper hungry or I really need sustenance right now, I would probably chew on a few of these, or I'd pick a branch, take it back to wherever I'm camped and put it in a cup, and then pour some boiling hot water over it, and that'll soak out, leach out all the vitamins, especially vitamin C. This also right here is a fir tree, and that's got lots of vitamin C in it. So you could pick a couple of those and a couple of these right next to it and make yourself a beautiful tasting vitamin C tea. Also, right next to it is a sweet birch, and this is my friend the birch tree. See those beautiful little buds? And this, you could scratch it. You do a scratch and sniff test, all right? So what you want to do is just give it a little bit of a scratch. Just scratch it with your knife like that, and then you sniff it, and if it smells like a wintergreeny, minty kind of smell, that is definitely black birch. And you could put that in some of your tea with your pines and whatnot, and this will actually help a fever or help any kind of pain you've got going on, or a headache or anything like that. And it's also really nice breath freshener and flavor. Oh, here's some partridge berry. It's a very low growing ground cover. This little berry right here. They don't taste like much, but they're definitely edible. These, the berries weren't the medicinal part. Usually it was the leaves, but they were traditionally utilized by indigenous peoples to, as like a tea or something, to help a woman, like her womb prepare to birth the child. So medicinal and edible. Oh, you see that little red berry right there? And there's another one right here. This is winterberry, Gaultheria procumbens, also called tea berry or wintergreen berry. The leaves and berries both contain a small amount of, I believe it's a salicylate, so it's either salicylic acid or betulinic acid, and it's a very wintergreeny, minty kind of flavor. I absolutely love snacking on these. Some people suggest that you shouldn't give them to children, or you shouldn't have more than 2 or 3. I'll eat like a whole handful of these and I don't care, it doesn't bother me at all. But if you are sensitive to salicylates in any way, you don't want to be snacking on these. They're not exactly enough. You don't want it as a food source, but medicinal or as adding it to tea, like put some of this in with that pine needle tea, that would be really tasty. See, I got 4 of them right now. This is nothing. I'll eat like a big ass handful of those when I'm out in the woods. Oh, it's so good. It's like chewing on wintergreen flavored gum. Really, really nice. Okay, so this isn't edible, at least not at this stage, but I just have to show you because this is so cool. I love it when I can come across some reishi. This is Ganoderma tsuge. This is on an old Tsuge canadensis or eastern white hemlock. And these are old reishi mushrooms. You say, oh, they're so cool. They're so big. Look at that. And they're old and moldy and gross, so they're not even medicinal anymore. But when they're young and tender, I have an older video. Oh wow, look at how many of them there are. I have an older video, so when they're young and tender and white on the outside, that part's edible, and it's actually pretty good. I like to fry it up in some butter. Oh, there's some more right here. Look at that. There's another big one. I love it. They're huge. They're beautiful. That is a natural resource, medicinal, and slightly edible. Well, they're a little ratty looking this time of year, but those are some rose hips. This is probably Rosa multiflora. They're so small. But these are also very, very high in vitamin C. The red pulp around the hip there, that's the edible part. You don't want to eat the seeds because the seeds have these hairs on them that will really irritate your throat. But if you could use your teeth to pick the red part off, or just, you know, make add that to a tea or something, that red bit right there, you can just eat that part. You just try to get the little hairs from the seeds off. That way it doesn't bother you. They taste pretty good once you can get the seeds out. Now, if you're really lucky, you'll find some of this. All right. This is the seeds of either yellow dock or bitter dock. Both are edible and they taste pretty close to the same. See this nice long seed stalk up here? And it's not often you find these seeds, but these are edible and they're quite nutty and full of protein and delicious and high in iron content. They're nice, actually. I purposefully harvest these and cook with them. So obviously if I was in a survival situation, I would harvest as many of these as I could into, you know, a bag, a bucket, a bowl, anything that I had. And then I could make a porridge with them. I could bake something with them. I could eat them raw, grind them up. Just put them in a bowl with some water, maybe a couple rose hips, and you've got basically like dock oatmeal right there. I'll eat a couple of the seeds just to show you. I mean, here, this is the plant. I'm getting chaff in here too, so it's not the best. But there's not much of a flavor. They're so tiny, but when you get a whole bunch of them together, and then you like boil them up, or I make a flour with them, and it's a really nice dark nutty flavor. It's a very tasty food. And see, there's a few more rose hips right next to the yellow dock. So pick your dock seeds and pick your rose hips, and then you got some nice oatmeal. Just walking back down the trail with some of my birch bark branches that I harvested for medicine making. And yeah, so if you like what you just saw, follow me. Maybe consider coming to one of my in-person retreats. I'll put the link in the bio down there for the next one that's coming up in April. Obviously, totally different stuff we're going to be finding in April, but you know, this is a taste of what it's like to forage with Amelia.